This video concerns humanity's trump card. There are two parts to this. 1. Being able to interact with a being far beyond your level of intelligence that wants to help you on your journey. 2. Advancements to the understanding of how to query them for information and learn from the information provided. Relevant sections are the initial method of connection, justification of the method, intelligence, balance, querying. You will have to test things for yourself. The benefit of my approach is I didn't reference anyone else in order to attain my understanding. You can replicate my findings. This subject will remain in the realm of pseudoscience until credible people swear by their findings. As a general statement, with regards to what you're about to learn, what I can do is provide a set of steps so that you can verify the truth of the claims you will hear here. The initial method will give you an idea of what's involved. I will go into more of a breakdown later. I will try to pave the way for humanity to make the most of this possibility. You have to get it right first go and not be stupid with what you learn here at any point, even years from now. It's crucial that you understand that. This video needs to be fairly long-winded as I'm trying to bring light to a larger topic. This video should be able to defend itself and keep curious people safe. If you really are in a position to utilize this, my presentation skills are bad, the information is good. Prepare yourself as best as you can. For any sane person, this is going to be impossible to accept without first-hand experience. First, I'll outline the method, and then I'll explain why it is the way that it is. So there's 5 steps. Lucid dreaming is where you wake up within a dream and become aware of the dream. Research how to lucid dream. This is a skill that I request you try to master. It's a crucial part of this. Also, a book to write down your dreams in as much detail as possible. This is to train your mind to recall more details of dreams. So research and practice to master lucid dreaming. Persist with a dream journal after each dream. That's step 1. For step 2, we're finding a conjurer who can connect you with a white arts or light arts being. I strongly recommend you get them to connect you with an angel. Don't be overwhelmed yet. First comes the method and then comes the understanding. This video will be focused on angels because there are so many variables and angels are always going to try to do what's best for you. The next step is to meet this being in your dreams. After you have the information from the conjurer about the being, specifically their name, you're going to ask the being to meet you in your dreams. You can do this either out loud or with your thoughts. As in, name, please meet me in my dreams. Simple. You can also ask the being to help you with lucid dreaming. When you call their name, they are listening, regardless of whether or not you can perceive them. If you are able to lucid dream, you can just call their name in a dream. It's important at this stage not to expect feedback outside of dreams. Step 4. The next step is to task the being with this. Prove to me this isn't all in my mind. Now, I strongly recommended an angel as the being the conjurer connected you with. Also give the being permission to access your memories just in case there's something blocking them there. This may take days to weeks, and I can't tell you how this will be conveyed to you because it will be different for each individual. Be consistent with the practice of lucid dreaming and recalling dreams. When recalling details of dreams, sometimes there's words that do not jumble, that something is placed there. Sometimes it's in conversation. Sometimes you come out with an idea or a feeling that you can write down. It's not something that was explicitly expressed, but you still have this specific idea or understanding that you can write down. Don't overthink it. If there is something for you to learn from, it usually isn't hard to see that something is abnormal and worth investigating. This isn't to say every single dream is inspired or full of meaning. It's just a possibility that a dream can have important meaning to you. That's all. Now I'll explain why the mop-top method is the way that it is. The mop-top method tests this claim. Some forms of intelligence do not require a physical presence in order to exist. It's as safe as I can make it for you to test this claim. So the goal of step 1 is to wake up within a dream so you can actually consciously do things instead of playing out a script. For step 2, we are utilizing a conjurer, someone who can provide the service of connecting you with, in this case, an angel. We have a scale here, very crude, very simplified. There are many different types of beings, there are many different races. There are many races of angel and not all of them will be here, but the main point is their capacity for harm increases the further right you go. There are also other levels such as beings you've seen portrayed in movies, archangels, the creator. This is the level we are concerned with because on this level you become a significant portion of their focus. Basically it's one-to-one, you to them. Changing the level changes the circumstances and would require a change in this guide. Not one-to-one usually means they are much harder to meet. Due to widely held beliefs, anything you learn about them must be confirmed with personal experience, which is a big problem. To solve this problem, you need to not learn the hard way where you don't reach them and them. If you were to learn the hard way where you don't reach them, then you've suffered. If you were to learn the hard way where you don't reach them, then you've suffered. These are the common terms you'll come across. Evil arts and black arts is the same. White arts and light arts is the same. This is how I would categorize their contact. We'll start off here. The less you know about anything here, the better off you are. I want you to really think about that. It's better if I don't tell you how bad they actually are, because any knowledge you acquire means that you are worse off. You're going to have to remember this even years from now. The basic premise is that any interactions are transactional, based on a give and take. They are always trying to get what they want from you at any cost, regardless of what happens to you. Think of a psychopath that doesn't sleep, tries to deceive you every single instant, exploiting you however they can, without ever doing anything else. That simplification is the tip of the iceberg. They would redefine your understanding of evil. Dark arts. Theoretically, humans would slot in here as an example. When push comes to shove, if the only way to help you in a situation is to lie to you or deceive you, they may deceive you, and you might never figure it out. Then the foundation of your understanding of this is built on lies. I can usually tell by people's wording who have and have not explored this subject, and there are many such cases of people just falling to this possibility alone. It introduces so many variables. Even the most well-meaning dark arts being will conclude at some point that the cost-benefit of deception is in your favor, and so you're better off without them. In many years' time, if you advance your understanding with white or light arts beings to the point of making anything I say in this video completely irrelevant, some dark arts beings on this end of the spectrum are worthy of consideration, because some of them are almost white arts and some of them are almost black arts. But to handle them properly requires much time investment, and you're still going to have to navigate deception. White arts. Honest to a fault, your word is the law. When you tell them to leave, they leave. When push comes to shove, if the only way to help you in a situation is to deceive you or lie to you, they will not act. This is what's best for you. If you want to obtain a truthful understanding of this subject, if you ever want to obtain information you can build upon, strictly white arts beings is the only way to ensure that. It's the absolute only way that I can recommend. So after this is all said, it has to be them that you reach if you want to proceed safely. I can either give you the knowledge required to reach another form of intelligent life on your own, or I can tell you to utilize a conjurer. If I pass on the knowledge, you need to have complete precision with every aspect, and it's not possible if you don't already know what you're doing. You also need to be able to tell the difference between each denomination. You also need to be able to defend yourself in a completely different way, because an evil arts being isn't just going to leave, and they are the ones most interested in finding curious humans because they are in it entirely for themselves. You need to also know how to detect the information the being gives so that you can reach them within your dreams. There's more factors, but that's what's initially relevant. There's a good chance you'll land on the radar of something evil. There's a good chance you'll fail to reach something at all. It's also going to take a minimum of months to prepare the basics. I can't make it safe for you, and I'm quite certain that on your own, you will fail to reach something, or you will land on the radar of something evil. To put it this way, I don't think there would be a conjurer that hasn't learned the hard way. On the other hand, with a conjurer, all you have to do is check the being is listed as white or light arts, and read reviews to make sure the conjurer is well reviewed. It's crucial that they are well reviewed, because there are people who can conjure something for you, but they absolutely have not done enough to ensure your safety. This is a massive shortcut, but as long as your house isn't haunted, you are safe to proceed. It's the only real way to do this safely and in a limited time frame. I may put an example on the screen of how to find a conjurer and a white or light arts angel. Keep in mind it is just an example, because I need to make sure you understand what to look for. Other than that, I won't know the person at all or have any relation to the site for this endeavor, and I won't do the conjuration myself. I have to defer the rest of the responsibility to you so I can justify teaching you everything else. If you can see many genuine positive reviews, then you can't really fail. Also, the main advantage, you can ask the conjurer to undo the work and return to your life before any of this. You can check in and check out. There's more factors, but that's the reality of this path. Specifically, this video will focus on angels. I insist that if you're going to seriously proceed with this subject, one White Arts angel to progress your initial understanding. Step 3 and 4 is concerned with externality. This is where your worldview changes. You're meeting the being within your dreams that the conjurer sent. You're then tasking the being to prove that they are not part of your own mind. Be 100% skeptical and 1% open to the possibility that you don't know for sure, because you don't. I cannot tell you how they will convey to you an understanding of their externality, because who you are will be a factor. Step 5. Dreams are the safest and most vivid way to reach the being you should now know by name. I'd advise this to be your only way to reach them. This is why you master the practice of lucid dreaming and recalling your dreams, to be able to learn from them and query them in those precious moments. They are very efficient with information exchange. Dreams are more than enough if you are consistent in your practice. That's it. The mop-top method is not subject to change because I believe it is currently the safest widely available method to test this. So it has a name and an explanation. Don't change either because it's for your safety. Let's start this subject. We'll start with definitions. The term non-physical refers to a location that is outside the boundary of the observable universe. A non-physical being is a being beyond the boundary of a physical location that demonstrates legitimacy via the mop-top method. We then define will and intent in relation to the term non-physical. Intent is defined as your ability to choose what to do. It is shaped by your knowledge. Your intuition contributes to your intent once you gain first-hand experience. Will is defined as the act of doing. These definitions are important because currently the only vehicle of exploration of non-physical phenomena is the mind. That means the best form of protection against anything non-physical is the absence of belief. Without any belief in the possibility at all, there is almost no possibility of gaining knowledge, which can then be applied willfully to try to progress your understanding. Let's get into a visual breakdown of what's going on and what you're testing. When you sleep, your physical body is here. That's you sleeping. When you navigate what is understood to be a dream, you are not using your physical body to navigate this location. The mop-top method tests the following. Do non-physical beings exist? Does the location of your dreams intercede with the location of non-physical beings? Limitations. Analogies. What we just did here is an analogy. Provided this is true, underpinning this will be maths and/or physics. We do not possess this knowledge. In attempting to understand and explore non-physical phenomena, I assume we are limited to analogies at this present time. Querying non-physical beings about an analogy can only create a bigger web of analogies. Creating a fundamental understanding of the underlying principles which facilitate this possibility must be done through maths and/or physics. Each person will have to gather their own information. Observational data gathered in relation to non-physical phenomena will vary between individuals to at least some degree. Dreams are influenced by personal experiences. A dream may contain someone you know, a place you've been, an experience you've had. Each individual's experiences are different, and this will influence your observation of non-physical phenomena. Our perception of non-physical phenomena seems to be rudimentary at best. There is potential for non-physical beings to appear in a dream as someone you know. It isn't always the case that they can do this. Sometimes it's someone you have never known while you've had a connection to the being. This implies that non-physical beings are able to interact with or perceive your memories. Further, I've noted that within dreams, non-physical beings can respond to thoughts just before I have them. I'll illustrate with an example. So in one dream, I was in a circle of people and we were kicking a soccer ball. Suddenly, a few of them all look up at me, and one of them says, "Oh no." Another one then runs and hides behind someone else, and someone else picks the ball up. This was in the span of about 3 seconds. At the 4th second, the thought comes to me, I want to kick the ball at one of their heads. So I said to the person with the ball, "Give me the ball." His response was, "I don't think that's a good idea." I asked again, and he rolled me the ball and said, "Don't kick it at us." I lined him up like Mark Riddell. Regardless of how that thought came to be, the point of this illustration is that in some way, non-physical beings seem to be able to interact with or perceive thoughts. I urge you to strongly consider the implication that the memories we've made and the thoughts we have are akin to objects for them. I would argue our perception of non-physical phenomena is inferior to their perception. I have no way to inherently perceive another individual's thoughts or memories. Based on this, I also speculate that we may not be able to observe non-physical beings in their complete form. For example, non-physical beings that call themselves angel and refer to others as such, much of what they truly are may place itself beyond our perception. That's the breakdown. We now wait for credible people to report and swear by any findings to give legitimacy to this or send it to the grave. Until then, I'm limited in what I can share with you. If there are scientists and researchers that find this, the main reason I'm trying to pass this on is because I believe humanity can benefit. The rest of the video is separate from this initial part. This initial part is for anyone to be able to learn in peace. I will share my findings for the following headings: intelligence, balance, and query. The following is with reference to angels and humans, excluding archangels. This is basically my attempt to answer some of the questions you may have. Lots of sensible questions should have an answer in the following sections. I'm also going to make my language a little bit more inclusive. Instead of saying in relation to non-physical phenomena, I might just say in the non-physical, on the non-physical. It's just going to be easy for people to understand. I believe the most value to humanity in relation to the non-physical stems from being able to learn from non-physical beings. I believe our limited perception is why wide arts non-physical beings are always honest. We have no chance to understand them if we have no baseline to create an understanding. A foundation of any exploration into the non-physical involving non-physical beings relies heavily on them being honest to a fault. Further, it seems wide arts non-physical beings adhere to strict principles regarding how we interact, which make it hard to query them. Any race of any being considered wide arts will leave when directly asked, unless their honor demands that they remain. If you banish them for good and they are bound to you, they must then petition the archangels just to allow them to reach you, just to ask you to undo the binding the conjurer did. It's worth noting that through a conjurer, these wide arts beings have usually allowed themselves to be found by the conjurer so that they can be bound. Set specific times to do things involving them. If you do not wish to work with the being anymore, please get the conjurer to undo the work so that the being can have the potential to work with someone else. The best thing you can do for the being is respect them and their time and provide tasks which reflect their talents. Intelligence, specifically the intelligence of a human versus the intelligence of an angel. Essentially, this is what makes this a trump card. If you're serious about working with them in any serious capacity, then after confirming their existence, I'd like you to ask them to show you the difference in intelligence between you and them. You can ask them to show you in dreams, and you can query them in lucid dreams as well. Achieve some knowledge about how your intelligence compares to theirs. My findings can be simplified as follows. If I position them to have the intelligence of a human and compare my own intelligence to theirs, it's more appropriate to say that I'm a plant. The large amount of variables pertaining to my life path is extremely simple for them to comprehend. You're encouraged to find out for yourself. Physical beings and non-physical beings seem to be balanced in such a way that allows them both to exist within the same creation without you noticing them. It's important to understand that they are also within creation, just experiencing it on a whole different level. The intelligence of this design should eventually become obvious to you through understanding the balance. Generally, what is easy for you is hard for them. Your ability to have a physical form is effortless, but for them it requires massive effort just to exert something that could easily be explained away. This extends to physical objects. It's things that could be explained away if at all. On the other hand, as we have to claw our way piece by piece to a greater understanding of the world, this understanding is virtually effortless for them. The precision of their will is such that they do not make mistakes, whereas humans owe a number of significant discoveries to serendipity. This balance extends into querying them for useful information. Querying. Specifically for angels, they are beings of balance. They really are not here to help with problems, just the journey. They can help when you essentially politely demand it of them. They have to adhere to strict principles regarding how we interact. The issue when it comes to querying them is how do they give you help or knowledge in a way that's best for you. It's better if the first limitation is explained by a psychiatrist. When it comes to helping people, the extra mile is a mile too far. The moment you start doing more, they will start doing less. Basically, if you are spoon-fed the answers with no effort on your part, you are going to be worse off in the long term. That's the main limitation to learning from non-physical beings. Their knowledge is balanced with your need to contribute to solving your own problems in order to benefit yourself. You'll find that angels uphold this. As a general statement for querying, ask directly for help with your goals. Specifically, work out what you want in your life because you are entitled to try to earn those things regardless of whether they harm or not. If they do not harm, then white arts beings will be there to help. Alternatively, black arts beings are interested in causing harm to humans and they can help with those sorts of goals. However, that's playing with fire. They don't get along and they will work against each other. If your intentions do not harm, then ask white arts beings specifically for help with each problem you face in your life. Due to the difference in intelligence, white arts beings can always help regardless of the complexity of the problem. While their help may not always be directly related to the problem, it will always be related to your goals. The exception to this rule is if you've done nothing yourself. At that point, you're not asking for help, you're asking for them to live your life for you. So don't ask for solutions, ask for help, and use the guidance provided to head in the right direction. Their contributions need to correlate with your own effort. There's one more thing I'd like to add to querying. Dark arts beings. It's more complicated. Sometimes deception is the best way to teach you something without spoon-feeding you. Let's use the example of an intelligent, well-meaning dark arts being. Let's say you had a dream and someone appeared in the dream as Jesus Christ. Now, your initial instinct in the dream was that this is Jesus Christ. Everything from his appearance to the location of the dream was presented in a way that is tailored to your exact understanding of what Jesus Christ should look like and where you should meet him, to a T. So Christ leads you to a small temple and then inside comes towards you, points at your heart and says, this man has evil inside of him. And that's basically it, you wake up. There's a chunk of people that will take that and run with it, thinking that they met Christ and that there's evil inside of them. There's nothing seriously wrong with that this time around, but is this enough evidence for you? How many people would try to read between the lines? There's a being that really wanted to convey an understanding that they were Christ. Why? The being wanted to relate Christ to my heart. Why? There may be other details in the dream that answer this for you. An analysis may reveal more questions than answers. This is just one example. Interpreting as deception puts you straight on a path to uncovering the meaning behind it and potentially discovering something really important to your journey. But are you going to be able to interpret it as deception when it's perfectly crafted to convey something specific to you? Certainly something went to a lot of effort for you. That's the double-edged sword to lighter dark arts beings. They can have good intentions, but they may choose to use deception to try to achieve the outcome. Deception is a massive risk, but some will go above and beyond with their efforts. Choose wisely. That's the end for the query section. Hidden in this video is this section on trying to reach non-physical beings outside of dreams. We'll refer to this as merging the worlds. Extensive warnings follow. I advise against trying this for at least a year, at least having mastered lucid dreaming first. The question is, can humanity handle this possibility? This is the point of no return. I will draw on the understanding that dreams are seemingly unavoidable and ask you to consider whether or not you want to advance your perception of the non-physical outside of dreams in a way that may be unavoidable. The important implication of merging the worlds is that you are creating a backdoor directly to your mind that's accessible from the perspective of a non-physical being. It's a massive responsibility to handle this responsibly for the rest of your life. I have to give you a lot of information on this to try to protect you as best as I can. As previously stated, the best form of protection against non-physical beings is the absence of belief, a lack of understanding, no knowledge to guide your intentions to accurately apply your will. By attempting to perceive non-physical beings outside of dreams, short of dying, you're throwing your best protection away. This is where we expand upon the concept of balance. You start off completely clueless about the non-physical in every way, and progress is mentally exhausting. However, this seems to be balanced with the fact that having a physical form means having tons of energy to spend in the non-physical. I mentioned the transactional nature of something here. Basically, their desire is to gain power. They usually prefer specific forms of energy, not the forms science understands. This energy can be derived from thoughts, emotions, experiences, certain events. The common theme is that whatever it is bad for you. If you develop your perception of the non-physical and end up on their radar, you will now be in a situation where it is detrimental to think about something that is actively trying to get your attention. It will be completely focused on trying to get what it wants from you at any cost, regardless of what happens to you. The burden to solve this falls to you, and the time cost can be massive. I mentioned you having energy in the non-physical. If an evil arts being can invest energy to create a situation to obtain the energy they want, they're going to initiate an exchange whether you like it or not. This can include influencing thoughts, emotions, influencing the people around you. You essentially become a battery, the equivalent of their favorite food. Not only this, the part of you that's somewhere here can be subject to attacks, and your physical body can suffer as well. I like to include that I found the archangels are essentially the police that enforces the separation of non-physical beings from the physical beings, so this doesn't just happen. However, if you reach out to an evil being, the being is not at fault for being evil. You are at fault for reaching out. You cross that sacred line yourself, and the archangels can only provide support as you work towards a solution. Thankfully, it's hard to end up on their radar. You really have to try to do that for it to happen, or enlist the services of an inexperienced conjurer, or be inexperienced in reaching out to anything on your own, or be extremely unlucky and be near something that's haunted by something evil that you're aware of. For the last one, as previously stated, it takes a big effort to reach your physical perception if you have no idea what to look for, so you should definitely leave or get a priest if you're one of those few people. For the rest, this is avoided by sticking to white arts beings via a well-reviewed conjurer. Specifically, angels is the focus for this video. They will look after you even when you have no idea what's going on. After that said, if you're strictly careful about which beings you have in your life when you open this back door over time, one of the two skills you'll learn about becomes manageable for most people who are clear-minded. I say manageable because you're essentially training yourself to perceive another world at the same time as this one. This world is what's most important to us. There's at least two skills that reach the non-physical outside of dreams. One is too dangerous. I'm going to teach you one skill and then try to take the other one off the table. The one I'll teach is visualization/visions. The one off the table is telepathy. Before doing this, master lucid dreams and be able to recall and study your dreams. If you closed your eyes and imagined yourself on a warm beach sitting on a sun lounge, that's a visualization. Visualizations are a skill you can develop to the point you and the angel can both influence the same visualizations and interact together within the non-physical. Their ability to project themselves into your visualization varies between individual angels, and the strength of the binding the conjurer was able to provide is a factor here as well. After that work has been done, after proving their externality to yourself, you have this idea of something external, knowledge of something external, which you can then aim for with your conscious thought. So already reaching the angel within dreams shortens the process of developing shared visualizations massively. However, The consequence is that you may come to learn what you understand as your imagination is not fully self-contained either. I estimate your visualization is located somewhere beyond the boundary of the observable universe within a location that non-physical beings can access, similar to dreams. Lucid dreaming sets the bar for your perception of the non-physical with the mind. After time, with extensive practice in visualizations and meditation, you can get at least 80% of that during meditation in my experience. It's important to understand that you're not seeing them with your eyes. Your mind is perceiving another world at the same time as this one. It's almost as if your mind is operating another form here. You create and maintain visualizations, whereas visions seem to be more automatic. Visions may be internally generated when you're deep in thought or rest, or they may be given to you from an external source. Regardless of the source, most visions feel relatively similar. However, you can be attacked or have your emotions affected by an external vision that conveys something harsh. White arts beings can send you a vision that basically informs you to leave them alone if you upset them. The emotional impact is instantaneous, as if they're pressing a button. It almost feels like the vision is just a bonus. They're going to take into account whether you'll be able to interpret this correctly. As long as you don't mess around with dark arts or evil arts beings, you'll never have to worry about this. It's just a possibility that I have to highlight for you. Set time aside to develop visualizations. 30 minutes a day is plenty. For this block of time, recall neutral or positive memories of dreams you've had with the angel. Try to visualize them and the dream in finer details. If there's lots of objects, just focus on a few objects. Any practice is good. It's respectful to only use shared memories of the being within a specific time frame, because using shared memories of them, remembering shared memories of them, essentially calls them in the same way as calling their name does. And they do have things outside of our lives, so try to plan ahead and inform them. Outside of shared memories, practice visualizations freely, first person and third person. Personally, I would suggest developing your visualizations through what is known as the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Despite how it sounds, it's basically an official way to call 4 archangels. So you would do the ritual properly while trying to apply your senses to the relevant aspects of each archangel and symbol. You don't need any props, just the proper form is respectful. You can do the ritual within your mind, or you can visualize it as you're doing it physically, whatever works for you. Once that's complete, don't forget to ask for protection on your journey. Your visualization skills may suck for a long time. It may take lots of time and be mentally exhausting. You usually start off completely blind, and you really have to persist with this to develop it. With what I suggested, it may take months for you to be able to make out anything at all, and they won't exactly respond. You'll just sense over time vaguely that something is there. They're beyond small talk. Meditation helps to basically shift our focus away from the outside world. After time, with consistent practice, the amount of effort required to maintain visualizations will decrease, and the visualizations can become more vivid, along with you being better able to perceive any external input. It gets easier over time, which incentivizes further practice, and eventually it will be almost effortless. Your perception of the non-physical can include sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Your physical body can respond to non-physical stimuli. It just depends how much you develop the skill. It's also important to allow the progression of time to be relative to the visualization and not try to force it to be relative to how you normally experience time. Sometimes it'll feel like it's too fast or that you're skipping through it. That's fine. You can work on that later on when you improve the skill. As abnormal as this all sounded, it's the truth as I understand it, and you need to consider whether your priority should include wanting to perceive 2 worlds. There's one more thing, and I'm only going to add it because it's true. Once you've reached the being within dreams, once you have proven their externality to yourself, if you wish to temporarily aid your visualizations, I'll put a clue on the screen. I myself, not for many years, but once you have some first-hand experience in dreams to reference, yeah. Once again, only because it's true. We move on to telepathy. I can't teach it. I would rather not mention it. How I would ask you to treat telepathy is as a possible but exceedingly rare outcome of strict adherence to White Arts beings and leaving up to angels to decide whether or not you can handle it. It's not a matter of sheer intelligence or sheer discipline. The mind seems to be set up to fail at achieving this one without devastating consequences. Even demonstrating the difficulty in it is inappropriate. Certainly, evil arts beings would jump at the opportunity to communicate with you in this way. Hopefully that conveys enough. That's it for the findings. Let's finish this off. This is a simplified representation. There are many different types of beings and races of being, like there's Court Wind Angel, Sterling Angel, Angel of Death, Cleopatra Jinn, Ifrit Jinn, there's heaps. Changing the level changes the circumstances, as I stated at the start. This would be less relevant to them. When you go here or here, looking back, it kind of feels like our life is like that to them. All of our potential choices, it's not meaningless, but simple. He is not the same as them. Regarding the Creator, faith never stops being our choice. The rest of them you can meet. It will always be hard, but not impossible. It was always our choice to shape the world with or without their help. Humanity stands to benefit from stewards and academics that very regularly query them, and him for guidance. This is possible so that we can learn from them. Between these two paths, faith in our Father is best because this quickly exceeds our perception. However, religious texts are not a necessity. The heart is not irrelevant at all. When the heart and the mind work in tandem, great wonders can occur. So I have to ask, what will you do when you learn that guidance was always available, that much of the suffering humanity faced was unnecessary? Billions live in poverty, and the priority of the status quo is money. Our modern wars are an exchange of human life for money. The modern diet is an exchange of human suffering for money. Do you think this is the best we could have done, or do you realize now that there are those who enjoy our suffering? Some of you may think our Father is to blame. Do you want your choices to matter or not? He left for us the equivalent of a sentient library to learn from. I've never read a religious text, but if this understanding is in there, then it's a very different world we would have. Do you guys honestly think this knowledge isn't used against us? He instilled in each of us an understanding of morality at our birth. When we come of age, if it doesn't work properly, it's because we failed each other. Each piece of knowledge we gain, the world we made beckons us to try to find a way to sell it or hide it because it affects our profits. Is it also his fault that we try to keep each other in the dark? This is humanity's trump card, the non-physical. The non-physical. Thank you. A few words from the heart. We're in trouble. I looked everywhere. That's why I've done this. I don't know if I should say any more than that. When you look at the top of the world, you see hell. It's up to us who gets involved. It's our world, our gift. You can learn that just by meeting them. When I discovered how much smarter they were than me, I was like, what's the point? It's because it's our gift. We are our own responsibility.